Creating a sports documentary is something I've always wanted to do. Fortunately for me, I was given the opportunity to do just that for one of my favorite football players,
Sebastian Berhalter!
The story of making this documentary started back in February 2026 in Spain. I had traveled with the Whitecaps to the south of Spain for a month to document their preseason training, and because of the due date on this project, I had to get started while we were there. It was constantly raining outside, so unfortunately the only option was to shoot the interview in a hotel room. I also had quite a light setup, just the FX30, an old A7 III, and one light. And because of these limitations, but also because of style and flair, I knew I wanted the interview to be in black and white, which I think really hid the fact that we shot this in a hotel room. It worked out quite well, I think. For this doc, I wanted the story to follow a basic structure. 1, an introduction to Seb's goals and dreams.
Yeah, just trying to be great.
2, a point of time where he goes through some sort of struggle. And 3, a resolution to that struggle that allows him to reach the initial goals and dreams that he talked about. I did this mainly because audiences typically resonate more with a character who's had to go through some sort of tough times in order to reach their goals. So while I asked up the questions, I made sure to keep mental notes to ensure each part of the story was checked off. And then after the interview was done, the rest of the process was mostly about editing. So to start, I made myself a coffee. I listened to the entire interview, marking off different sound bites that could make it into the final cut. Then we can get into storytelling, placing different parts in different sections to make sure I told Seb's story in the best way I could.
1, 2, ready, kick it. Look at the emotion from Sebastian Berhalter!
Okay, the next task, adding footage. There was a lot of footage. Luckily, we had spent the entire of the last MLS season shooting every single game and tagging the footage on this app called Kino, so finding footage of Seb was easy. We also got some hero shots of him by the sea one day after work, which worked amazingly in the documentary. So we've got the interview and the footage, and now we get to craft the tempo of the film. Slow. Constantly changing the pace of your film is a great way to keep your audience engaged, so long as it's done tastefully. Too many fast cuts and they start to lose their meaning, but put those next to slower sections and those fast cuts feel that much more intense and that much quicker. But pacing can also help convey emotion. Take this part of the film where we dive into Seb's psychology. He's just given up a goal to the other team, and then
I pretty much gave up 2 out of 3 goals. Felt defeated. I can't even explain what just happened. I don't understand. I was like, what's the point almost?
these cuts help us feel his emotion, so it's narrative on top of stylistic. Once everything was down, I activated the cheat code of color grading, Dehancer. I made a few adjustments and that was it, giving me more time to focus on sound. Sound is a beautiful marriage of music, vocals, and sound effects. And all the music for this project I found using MusicBed. So any sponsorship requests can be directed at my manager. Music really helps shape the mood. Take this song, Lonely for You. And then this song, Loon. It's obvious which one works better to create an energetic mood, so that's the one I use for the intro sequence. But then there's this song, Starry Dream. It's a bit of a softer track, and at first it might sound a bit more sad than uplifting, but I thought it helped create a reflective and inspirational tone to kind of wrap up the entire film. And that's something I've learned recently. Your music choices don't always have to be so literal. You can use softer tracks for more intense moments, and the opposite can be true. It just kind of depends on how you integrate it within your overall edit and your overall taste and preferences.
Berhalter from distance! Perfect! Absolute magic from Berhalter!
The next aspect, vocals. It's super important to make sure Seb's vocals are as clear as possible, and nothing in the timeline should be competing with it too much. So when there were vocals, I made sure to keep their levels at around -12, and everything else a little bit lower. But in the sections where we didn't hear Seb talking, I felt free to push some of the other sounds a little higher, just for dramatic effect. And lastly, adding sound effects, my favorite part of the process. I used a lot of whooshes to accentuate movements and smoothen out transitions. I also used a lot of risers and impacts to help transition between scenes, but I feel like this process is more of a creative one, and I prefer to feel my way through it. In my opinion, there are no right answers in sound design, but there definitely are wrong answers, and you'll notice when something feels a little bit off, so just keep experimenting until it feels right. And then eventually, you'll be finished, and it'll be time to press export, and you can move on to your next project. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please hit subscribe, and see you in the next video.